My name is Sophie Park. I'm 32 years old. And last Thanksgiving, my father told me to go leave on the streets in front of my entire family. He had no idea I was sitting on a $30 million annual income. By the time dessert was served, I had already decided exactly how I was going to respond. And trust me when I say this, sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't screaming or crying. It's watching someone realize they just destroyed the only lifeline they had left. That Thanksgiving dinner happened 3 weeks ago in my parents' house in Austin, Texas. The same house where I grew up. The same dining table where I used to sit doing homework while my older brother Jake got praised for every B- he brought home. I flew in from San Francisco the night before, exhausted from back-to-back investor meetings, my suitcase still half-packed with pitch decks and contracts I hadn't had time to review. My mom opened the door wearing her fake smile, the one she uses when she's about to ask for something.
No hook.
Just, oh good you're here. Can you help me in the kitchen? Your brother and his wife are running late as usual. I should have known right then. I should have turned around, gotten back in my rental car, and driven straight to the airport. But I didn't. Because some stupid part of me still hoped that maybe this time, just maybe, they'd actually be happy to see me. The kitchen was chaotic. Turkey in the oven, pots boiling over. My mom stress-baking 3 different pies like she was feeding an army. I rolled up my sleeves and started chopping vegetables while she talked to me. Not to me. She went on about Jake's new promotion at the car dealership, how his kids were doing in school, and how his wife, Brittany, was thinking about getting her real estate license. Every sentence was about Jake. Jake this, Jake that. I might as well have been the hired help. My dad walked in, beer in hand, and grunted something that might have been hello. He looked at the vegetables I was chopping and said, "Those pieces are too big. You never could follow simple directions." Then he walked back to the living room to watch football. That was the first punch. Small, but it landed. Dinner started an hour late because Jake and Brittany showed up with their 3 kids, loud and demanding, and somehow, both my parents acted as if the sun had just walked through the door. My mom practically threw herself at the grandkids, hugging them, asking about school, telling them how big they'd gotten. My dad clapped Jake on the back and asked about his sales numbers. I sat at the far end of the table, the spot they always gave me, closest to the kitchen, so I could jump up and refill drinks or grab forgotten items. We were halfway through the meal when Jake started talking about his big idea. He wanted to open his own dealership. He had the experience, he said. He had the connections. All he needed was the capital. My mom's eyes lit up like fireworks. "Oh, honey, that's wonderful," she gushed. "You'd be so good at running your own business." My dad nodded, already 3 beers deep. About time someone in this family became a real entrepreneur. I kept eating my mashed potatoes, eyes down, waiting for what I knew was coming. Jake turned to me with that entitled smirk he's had since we were kids. "So, Sophie," he said, voice dripping with fake friendliness. "You work in tech, right? You must know people with money. Think you could introduce me to some investors?" I looked up slowly. "I'm not really in a position to do that," I said carefully. The table went quiet.
My dad set down his fork.
"Not in a position," he repeated, voice hard. "What does that even mean?" I took a breath. "It means I don't think it's appropriate for me to mix my professional network with family favors." The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. My mom's face pinched. Jake's wife, Brittany, whispered something to him. And my dad, my father, the man who was supposed to protect me, leaned forward and said in a voice cold enough to freeze fire, "You know what your problem is, Sophie? You're selfish. You've always been selfish." I felt my chest tighten. "Dad, that's not fair." "Fair?" He laughed, bitter and sharp. "You want to talk about fair? Your mother and I paid for your college. We gave you everything. And now that you've got some fancy job in California, you think you're too good for your own family?" I could feel everyone staring at me. The kids had stopped eating. Brittany was recording on her phone, probably planning to post this to some family group chat later. My mom sat there, silent, not defending me, just watching like this was dinner theater. "I'm not saying I'm too good for anyone," I said quietly. "I'm saying I can't help with this specific thing." Jake slammed his hand on the table. "Can't or won't," he snapped. Do you know how hard it is out here for normal people? People who didn't run off to Silicon Valley to play with computers? Some of us have real responsibilities, real families to take care of. And that's when my dad said it. He stood up, face red, beer sloshing in his hand, and pointed at me like I was a stranger. If you can't help your own brother, then you're no daughter of mine. Go live in the streets for all I care. The room went dead silent. Even the kids stopped fidgeting. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, staring at the man who raised me. The man who taught me to ride a bike. The man who is now telling me to go live in the streets because I wouldn't give my brother free access to my professional contacts. I set my fork down very carefully. I stood up, looked my father directly in the eyes, and said, "Okay." Just that. One word. Okay. My mom's face went pale. "Sophie, sit down." He didn't mean no, I said, voice steady despite the fact that my hands were shaking. He meant it. And I heard him. So I'm going to respect his wishes. I grabbed my coat from the back of my chair, picked up my purse, and walked toward the door. Behind me, I could hear my mom starting to panic, my dad yelling something about me being dramatic, Jake muttering about always knowing I was stuck up. I didn't turn around. I didn't give them the satisfaction. I walked out that door, got in my rental car, and drove straight to my hotel. And that's when the real story started. Because what none of them knew, what they couldn't have possibly known because they'd never once asked about my actual life, was that I wasn't just some mid-level tech worker. I was the co-founder and CEO of a software company that had just closed our Series C funding round at a $200 million valuation. My personal annual income between salary, stock options, and dividends was just over $30 million. I owned a penthouse in San Francisco, a vacation home in Napa, and had more money in my investment portfolio than my parents would see in 3 lifetimes combined. But they didn't know any of that. They'd never asked. Not once in the 7 years since I'd started my company had they asked what I actually did for work. To them, I was just Sophie, the weird daughter who moved away and worked with computers. The one who wasn't married, didn't have kids, and therefore couldn't possibly be successful or happy. They'd written me off years ago as the family disappointment, and I'd let them, because some part of me still wanted their approval. I still wanted to be invited to Thanksgiving, still wanted to matter. But sitting in that hotel room that night, staring at the ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning, I realized something. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their validation. I didn't need anything from them. And that realization was the most freeing thing I'd ever felt. I opened my laptop, started going through files. I'd been helping my parents financially for years. Small things mostly. A few thousand here and there when the car broke down or the AC needed replacing. I'd paid for Jake's kids' summer camp for 2 years running. I'd covered my mom's medical bills when her insurance lapsed. I'd been the family ATM, quietly, invisibly, because I thought that's what you did for the family. I pulled up every Venmo transfer, every Zelle payment, every wire. Organized them in a spreadsheet. Dates, amounts, purposes. The total came to just over $85,000 across the last 5 years. I'd been subsidizing their lifestyle while they treated me like garbage, while they mocked my career, while they acted like I was the burden. The next morning, I didn't fly home to San Francisco like I'd planned. Instead, I called my lawyer. Then I called my accountant. Then I called my mom. She answered on the first ring, voice high and nervous. "Sophie, honey, about last night." "Mom," I said, cutting her off, "I need you to listen very carefully. I'm going to say this once." Silence on the other end. Over the last 5 years, I've given this family $85,000. I have records of every transaction. I'm formally requesting repayment within 30 days. She gasped. "Sophie, you can't be serious. That money was gifts. Family helping family. Family." I repeated slowly, "Don't tell each other to go live in the streets. Those were loans, Mom. And I'm calling them in." "We don't have that kind of money," she whispered. "Then I suggest you figure it out. Because if I don't receive payment by December 28th, I'll be filing a civil suit to recover the funds. My lawyer will send the paperwork today." I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone exploded. Texts from my mom, my dad, Jake, even Brittany, all in a panic. Calls I didn't answer. Voicemails I didn't listen to. I blocked them all. Then I posted one thing on my private Instagram, the one I used for investors and professional contacts. It was a photo of me at our last board meeting, standing in front of our company logo, smiling. The caption read, "Grateful for another incredible quarter. Excited to announce we've officially crossed a $200 million valuation. Here's to building something that matters." I didn't tag my family, didn't mention them, but I knew they'd see it. Because Jake's wife followed me, and she couldn't help herself. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing again. This time, the messages were different. "Wait, you own a company? Is this real? You're a CEO?" And from my dad, just 3 words. "Call me. Now." I didn't call. Instead, I spent the next 2 weeks in San Francisco, working, meeting with my team, preparing for our end-of-year strategy session. I was busy. I was focused. And for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of my family's expectations and disappointments. I felt light. Then December 20th rolled around. 8 days before my deadline. My mom called from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. "Sophie, please." Her voice was broken, desperate. "We need to talk." "We are talking," I said coldly. "Your father and we didn't know. About your company. About the money. Why didn't you tell us?" I laughed. Actually, I laughed. "Tell you? Mom, when exactly was I supposed to do that? In between being told I'm selfish? Or maybe when Dad told me to go live in the streets?" He was upset about Jake. He was upset. I interrupted because I set a boundary. And instead of respecting that, he threw me away like trash. "You all did." She was crying now. "We can't pay you back, Sophie. We don't have it. The house is mortgaged. Your father's knee surgery last year wiped out our savings. Jake's drowning in debt. We thought you were doing okay, but not like this. We didn't know." "You didn't ask," I said flatly. "Not once in 7 years did any of you ask how I was really doing. You just assumed I was scraping by and still expected me to keep bailing you out." There was a long pause. Then, quietly, "What do you want from us?" And that was the question, wasn't it? What did I want? I'd spent the last 2 weeks thinking about it. The lawsuit was real. The paperwork was filed. I could destroy them financially. Take the house. Garnish my dad's pension. Ruin them. But would that actually make me feel better? Would it fix anything? Or would it just make me like them, petty, vindictive, unable to let go? I took a deep breath. "I want you to understand something, Mom. I don't need you. I don't need Dad. I don't need Jake. I built a life without any of you. A good life. A successful life. And you never noticed because you were too busy deciding I didn't matter." "Sophie, I'm not going to take your house," I said. "I'm not going to sue you. But I am done. Done pretending we're a family when you only call when you need something. Done showing up to dinners where I'm treated like the help. Done being the safety net you resent. Consider the $85,000 a severance package. You're officially cut off." She sobbed openly now. "You can't mean that."
Ida.
"Lose my number. Don't contact me again. And tell Jake good luck with his dealership. He's going to need it." I hung up, blocked the new number. And this time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Christmas came and went. I spent it in Napa with friends from my company. We cooked together, drank expensive wine, and laughed until our stomachs hurt. Nobody asked me for money. Nobody made me feel small. It was the best holiday I'd had in years. 3 days after Christmas, I got an email from Jake. Not a phone call. An email. The subject line read, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. The message was short. "Sophie, I was wrong. We all were. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know that I see it now. How we treated you. How we took you for granted. You deserved better.
I'm sorry. No excuses.
No asking for money. Just an apology. I stared at that email for a long time. Then I replied with 2 sentences. Thank you for saying that. I hope you figure things out.
And I meant it.
Not because I was ready to let them back in, but because holding on to anger was exhausting, and I was done letting them take up space in my head. A week later, I got a LinkedIn message from my dad. He'd never had LinkedIn before. The message was awkward, stiff, the way he always was with emotions. Your mother showed me your company website. I read about what you built. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I'm sorry I didn't. I didn't respond. Not because I was punishing him, but because I didn't owe him anything. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, not a relationship. Maybe one day I'd be ready to talk. Maybe I wouldn't. But that was my choice now. And it felt good to finally have a choice. 6 months have passed since that Thanksgiving dinner. My company just got acquired by a Fortune 500 tech giant for $450 million. My personal payout was just over $60 million. I bought my dream house overlooking the Pacific Ocean. I started a scholarship fund for first-generation college students studying computer science. I'm building the life I always wanted, surrounded by people who value me, respect me, and actually want me around.
My family isn't part of that life.
And I'm okay with that. Because here's what I learned. You can't force people to see your worth. You can't make them appreciate you. And you definitely can't set yourself on fire to keep them warm. Sometimes the only way to win is to stop playing the game. To walk away. To build something so undeniably successful that their opinions stop mattering. My dad told me to go live in the streets. He thought it would break me. Instead, it freed me. And now I'm living in a house by the ocean, running a company I love, surrounded by people who actually care. So, yeah, I took his advice. I went and lived my life. Just not the way he thought I would. And that's the sweetest revenge of all. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, if you've ever been told you're not good enough, if you've ever been the one everyone takes for granted, this story is for you. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You just need to believe in yourself enough to walk away and build something better. And trust me, when you do, the view from the top is incredible.